at any airport, especially when you take a long flight and you exit the terminal building, a common sight there is smokers light up a cigarette.
Yeah.
Now you look at the face of the person, you will think happiness lies in the cigarette.
Yeah.
But non-smokers get irritated and walk away. So if happiness were in the object, whatever the object is, the same object should give the same amount of happiness to everybody. This does not happen.
Yeah.
It gives immense pleasure to one, intense displeasure to another. So it cannot be in the object. Then where is it?
Namaste and welcome to episode 23 of our show on the Bhagavad Gita with Srimati Jaya Rao, renowned teacher of Vedanta and also my mother. I'm your host Ajay. Today we're going to explore a little bit about happiness and what the nature of happiness, what prevents us from attaining a sustained kind of satisfaction and happiness, and how we can go about achieving it. So Jayaji, you're just back from a series of lectures in Bangalore. So how did that go? And what chapter of the Gita were you covering?
Yes, we did chapter 4. And it was very interesting because in spite of the rain and the IPL final, we still got a reasonable crowd. And what was interesting was a large number of them were young. So
That's
there
great.
were corporate executives, there were students.
And I think it's always encouraging to know that younger people are tapping into the traditional wisdom. So I think it's always great. There's this when it comes to seeking or spiritual seeking, there's always this wonderful example that we have from the Kathopanishad of Nachiketas, and his seeking of the real truth of life. Would you be able to tell us a little bit about his story and what we can take from that story into our lives?
Yes, Nachiketas is a very inspiring character from the Kathopanishad. So the story goes like this, that his father performed a yajna, means sacrifice. And after a sacrifice, you're supposed to give dan, charity. And you have to give, for that particular yajna, you had to give that which was dear to you. But like all of us, his father did not want to give. So he gave old cows that had stopped yielding milk. Nachiketa saw this and was horrified because the result of something like that is terrible to the person who's done it. So to save the father, he went to the father and he was dearest to the father. So he went to the father and asked him, Father, who will you give me to? Father ignored because he was just a teenager. And he kept asking, he persisted. Finally, the father got so irritated. He said, I will give you to Lord Yama. Now, these are things that are said casually by parents and it's not supposed to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
But Nachiketas took it up. And he went to Lord Yama in heaven.
Yeah.
And when he got there, apparently Yama was away. So he had to wait 3 days. Now, in those days, of course, they had immense respect for the guru, but they also had respect for the student. So his family members got very agitated that they've made this young boy wait for 3 days. Yama said, don't worry, I'll make up for it. So he went to Nachiketas and said, I'm sorry I was late, but I will give you 3 boons to make up for the 3 days. Now look at this. The boons that he asks for itself shows his personality and his purpose in life. So he went about it very systematically. First is obligation to the immediate family. He said, my father was very distressed when I came here, and obviously anyone would be distressed going to Yama. Please appease his agitation. Tathastu, said Lord Yama. Second, obligation to the world. He said, teach me fire sacrifice, means the ability to serve the world. And apparently he did it so well that Yama was thrilled. He gave him a necklace of precious gems and said, now onwards, this yajna will be called Nachiketa Yajna. And it is true, even today there is a Nachiketa Yajna. Now comes the third. He says, teach me Brahma Vidya. Means, give me the knowledge with which I can get to self-realization. Now Yama hesitated, not because he didn't know or didn't want to, just to make sure that the child knew what he was asking for. He said, you're a young man. Why do you want Brahma Vidya? I'll give you all of this. Means the wealth of the heavens. Nachiketas looked disgustedly the other way. It so happened that in the direction that he was looking, there were heavenly damsels dancing. So Yama said very mischievously, you can have them too. Now he's had it. So he looks Yama in the eye and says, Tavaiva vahas tava nritya gite. You keep your song and dance, Yama. Teach me Brahma Vidya. And what is interesting is, in the Kathopanishad, he follows it up by giving reasons why he wants Brahma Vidya and why he's saying no to all this. One of the things he says is that they come and they go. It's passing. So it's not worth pursuing. Secondly, my ability to enjoy the senses also will diminish, because as you age, your ability reduces. And therefore, I want something that is permanent. Now, this wisdom which Nachiketas had eludes us, because we are attracted by the world, the transitory attractions of the world, and instant pleasure. So, we need to learn from this story that, yes, you can go ahead and enjoy the world. There's nothing against it. But some part of your mind and your thoughts should be invested in the permanent, because then it will remain with you throughout your life and after life also. So this wisdom or this line of thought is not presented to people. So it's all about go out, enjoy yourself, earn money, spend, enjoy. That's it. Beyond that, we don't even think. So I think that is the lesson from the Nachiketa story. Also about where happiness lies. Happiness does not lie in external things, but within. So he indicates that, and Kathopanishad takes him through the journey inward.
Yeah, and this aspect where we talk about worldly pursuits, and we see it in our lives all the time through different people, in our own lives, in other people's lives. So, for example, when people are running a marathon, they say, I'll do the full marathon, which is 42 kilometers, in 4.5 hours, and they achieve that. And then it becomes, okay, next time I'll do a sub 4. Next time I'll do a sub 3:30. Next time I'll do a sub 3. And then, of course, the achievement feels good. But then when the dust settles, that gnawing emptiness never goes, right? Even, or for a billionaire, you make that first billion and it's like, yeah, that's a kick. And then you make the second and the third, and then the enjoyment you derive out of that starts to diminish. And then where do you go from there, right? At some level, it feels like we are chasing shadows, right? It's like we're
Yes.
trying to clutch shadows, and obviously it's never going to happen, because no matter the achievement, whether you're a Wimbledon champion or whether you've eaten 20 pani puris, I'm saying at the end of it, yes, you have, sometimes the satisfaction lasts longer. Sometimes it's for like a few minutes, but you come back to that same gnawing lacuna, right? How do we deal with that?
Yes. See, how we go wrong is that when you come back to that lacuna again, then you think that, oh, maybe I should get something else. So we don't change what we're doing. We don't change the direction of our pursuit. There has to be some thinking. Like, for instance, you're going to San Francisco.
Hmm.
At any airport, especially when you take a long flight and you exit the terminal building, a common sight there is smokers light up a cigarette.
Yeah.
Now, you look at the face of the person, you will think happiness lies in the cigarette.
Yeah.
But non-smokers get irritated and walk away. So if happiness were in the object, whatever the object is, the same object should give the same amount of happiness to everybody. This does not happen.
Yeah.
It gives immense pleasure to one, intense displeasure to another. So it cannot be in the object. Then where is it? So the question should be asked within ourselves. So where is it? And Vedanta explains it. It says that as long as you have a desire in your mind, the mind will be agitated, unfulfilled desire. The moment the desire is fulfilled, the agitation ceases. You're happy for a while, till the next desire comes up.
Yeah.
So, happiness is not in the object. Happiness is in the mind. When the agitation ceases, you are happy. So, that's the first step, to understand that it's within you and not outside. Then you have to figure out and go back and say where happiness lies, you know. And Vedanta takes us right through. It tells us where, first of all, it analyzes where you seek happiness. We seek happiness in sense contact, through action. Many of us act because it gives us a thrill. Through emotional interaction, relationships give you a definite high. Through intellectual pursuits, getting a PhD, so on and so forth. And the final is the spiritual. Now, most of us are stuck only at the sensory level. We don't even go further. But as you go up, you notice that the quality of happiness increases. It multiplies because you share it with others. And it's less dependent on the world. And finally, when you get to the spirit, you found what you wanted. It's like, something that I've been seeking all my life, I finally found. But to get there is the problem, because we don't really know what we want in life. It's like a child, let's say a 1-year-old child. When it's hungry, it doesn't know it's hungry. So it throws a tantrum.
Yeah.
It asks for this, that, and the other. The moment it gets the object, for a while it's quiet. Again it starts crying. Until the mother comes home and she knows what the problem is. She gives a morsel of food in the mouth while giving what the child is asking for. And then there's peace.
Yeah.
Similarly, we are throwing tantrums. We are asking for this, that, and the other. It's only when we get a little bit of spiritual food that there is that quiet, the peace. But to get there is a big challenge for us.
Yeah. Because like in Vedanta, there's this thought of the world is an illusion. And we say nothing in the world can give us lasting happiness, right? But when you're in the midst of it, if all we're doing is negating, then what are we replacing? So if we're saying, okay, not this, not this, not that, then there has to be something that replaces the vacuum that is being created, right? Otherwise, then what do we do? And then like it can make us cynical also. Oh, this is meaningless. What's the point of giving my best? I'm saying these are phases that people go through, right? It has no consequence in the larger scheme of things. Why should I care about it? Why should I care about the outcome? How do we prevent ourselves from becoming cynical also?
Yes.
As a result of this intelligence.
See, Vedanta doesn't say give anything up. Vedanta simply introduces us to something higher.
Yeah.
And this is something that we've experienced from childhood onwards, right? We have never given up a desire. what we've done is just grown to something far more fulfilling. So when you, like for instance, forget from childhood to adulthood, you see a teenager who's, let's say, obsessed with food or other things, maybe video games. And suddenly he meets someone and falls in love. Then what happens? All these desires go away.
Yeah.
So you have to pick a higher desire and feel the enthusiasm, the thrill, the excitement of it. And then by themselves, the lower desires go away. You don't give anything up. You take up something higher. And this is something that is completely misunderstood, because they believe, the general population believes that spirituality means giving up things. It's not true. In fact, even when you move to the higher, you still have the option of enjoying the lower. Like you move to, let's say, intellectual pursuits, you can still party and have fun. You can still have a relationship and find it fulfilling. But you have just moved to the higher. So you have access to everything. When you're stuck with a lower, you have no access to higher things.
And then what about this sense of ennui that can creep in as a result of having the knowledge of spirituality, the cynicism? How do we avoid that?
True spirituality does not make anyone cynical.
Right.
Right? In fact, it makes you very positive in life. It gives you this sense of cheer and dynamism, which is there in Krishna's life. See, he was a man of realization. He was realized at birth.
Yeah.
But he understood everything and he participated in everything. He participated in pranks as a child, in friendship, in the gopis, everything. The only difference was that he was objective. So if we live a life like that, we'll enjoy life and yet enjoy the spiritual. So it is never, if you get cynical, you're not spiritual. You're merely intellectual.
Yeah.
You're a philosophy professor.
I think that those are interesting thoughts and ideas that we can take into chapter 3 as we continue our study of chapter 3. So, shall we begin with the invocation?
Sure. Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
So now we're on verse 30 of chapter 3. And Lord Krishna in verse 30 says, "Fight, surrendering all actions to me, focusing thoughts on the self without expectation, minus, or frenzy." So would you like to take us through that verse?
Yes, this is in fact the central verse of Karma Yoga.
Okay.
So it's the prescription for perfect action. What makes an action perfect is basically this verse talks about two aspects. One is how to generate energy within you, because if you don't have energy, you can't act. And the other is how to avoid dissipating this energy that you have generated. And how do you do it? You have 3 equipments: body, mind, intellect. So he says intellect focuses on the ideal. So he has spoken enough about fixing a higher ideal. So he's assuming that we have fixed a higher ideal.
Right.
Now the intellect must direct all your activities, all your thoughts, all your resources to that goal. And you see this in life. For instance, how is it that Virat Kohli comes up with with good shots every time? And people have analyzed it. Just this morning, I was listening to a podcast on this. And he said he is continuously working towards bettering himself. So his thoughts, there's never a cheat day. There's never a day that he's taken off because his whole life is just cricket. Similarly, a musician must direct all his thoughts to music. So there's music going on in his head all the time. And why is it necessary? Because as you think, so you become. But here he's talking about generating energy. So when anything is unidirectional, there is power. Wind moving in one direction generates power. Water moving in one direction is hydroelectric power. So on and so forth. When you hold a convex lens in sunlight and keep a paper at the right distance, the paper actually burns. It doesn't happen without the convex lens. So what does the convex lens do? It directs all light rays to one point. So that amount of focus, if you have, it generates a great deal of energy within you. Second, the mind. The mind is full of emotions. So the mind must surrender to the ideal, which means you must love what you're doing. There has to be that, the heart reaching out to it. Because you cannot go through the rigors of any pursuit unless you love it. And once you love it, it happens easily. And the higher the ideal that you surrender to, what happens is the power of the ideal then rests in you. Like, let's say Dr. Jaishankar, who's our foreign minister, makes a statement as foreign minister. They take it, the world takes it seriously because this is what India is saying. But if he makes a personal remark, nobody is going to even quote him. So that's the difference. When you surrender to a higher ideal, you gain power. And the third, something which you actually embody is constant action, exercise. The more the body acts, the more energy it generates. So you will have noticed that on days when you exercise, you feel energetic throughout the day. Yeah. On days when you can't, like you're taking a flight, let's say, you feel lethargic throughout the day. Yeah. So if you do all these three, you generate energy. You avoid dissipation, which happens by the mind going into the past worry, future anxiety, and excitement in the present. So this past and future saps you of energy. It's like a brilliant racehorse weighed down with such heavy weights that he can't run. So the two things that this verse talks about is consistency, the intellect directing all your actions, thoughts towards the chosen goal, and concentration. The intellect directs the mind to the present action and doesn't allow it to go into the wasteful avenues of past and future. If you do this, it is impossible that you will not achieve success. So this is the prescription for perfect action.
We'll move on to verse 31. Here, Lord Krishna says, they are also freed from actions who always follow my teaching with Shraddha, faith, free from malice.
This is an interesting verse because he says, those who follow verse 30 will gain freedom. Because your thoughts are anchored in the higher goal. So they're not thinking of lower desires. Like a person who is, let's say, wants to win an Olympic gold for the country, is not worried about how much money I'll get or, personal issues. Is free from that. And with Shraddha, without malice. So many of us are consumed with doubt. Malice means you have negative thoughts. Maybe the person who's giving me advice has a personal agenda. Maybe the doctor I go to is just wanting to make money. Things like that. So if these negative thoughts come, they sap you of energy and you can't proceed. So you need Shraddha. How do you overcome malice? Shraddha is an interesting combination of emotional faith. You see, you can't live life unless you have faith. You can't go to a doctor unless you have faith that the guy is not going to kill you. Right. You can't, you can't have any relationship unless you have faith. So, but that faith is not blind. It's supported by intellectual analysis of previous experience. That I know and I can swear by it that you will not hurt me or do anything against me, you know. So when you have this faith in basic human nature, it helps you.
You know, coming back to Shraddha, is it, you said there's an emotional aspect, but isn't it also the ability to see a task through till it's complete?
Yes.
You know, so would you be able to elaborate more on the concept of Shraddha? Because I think it is confused maybe sometimes with devotion alone, but it's actually kind of devotion plus plus.
Yes, I'm glad you brought this out. I should
Yeah.
have explained it earlier. So let's take faith. It's translated as faith. Faith is sometimes defined, like Joe Goldsmith says, faith is belief in a thing you do not know until you come to know what you believe in. So you have to have that thing that takes you through till you come to know. Rabindranath Tagore puts it in a poetic way. He says, it's like the bird that feels the light and sings while the dawn is still dark. It's a beautiful way of putting it. And it is so true. If you wake up early enough, when it's still dark, when it's like, say, 4 o'clock, it's silent. Then at some point, it's still dark, but the birds start chirping. It's as if they know dawn is coming, you know. But Shankaracharya gives it the real definition, which is the capacity of the intellect to fix a goal and direct all your energies and activities towards that goal and not let go until you achieve it. So it's consistency in a way,
Yeah.
Shraddha. But Shraddha also includes the emotional side.
I think the concept of Shraddha is necessary in any pursuit, even from a material point of, you know, in a material or worldly pursuit. If that Shraddha is not there, whether you're an Olympic athlete or an entrepreneur or just anything, right? You want to have a good relationship. That concept of Shraddha, we have to put into action. Otherwise, knowingly or unknowingly, we're doing it. That's the only way we're achieving it, isn't that?
Absolutely.
So it's a
And
very,
those who may be highly talented and have everything else but lack Shraddha will not achieve.
yeah, yeah,
So it is one of the most important aspects that lead to success.
yeah. So now moving on to verse 32, Lord Krishna says, "But know them to be destroyed who, deluded of all knowledge and without discrimination, decry my teaching and do not follow it."
It's a very strong statement. But what he's doing is he's stating the law. It's like telling a child, look, the law of gravity functions. You lean over the balcony too much, you will go down. You know? So unless it is put in a strong way, the child doesn't get it. Similarly, we are like children. So he's telling us that if you don't follow it, you will be destroyed. It's a law. So selfishness is not an option. Being inconsistent is not an option. Not having concentration is not an option. Now, these three, very few of us have in the world today. So, anyone who has it will excel. But if, like for instance, a person is also exceptionally talented, then you become a world phenomenon.
Yeah, and also I think when Lord Krishna says here, my teaching, I don't think he's not uh, encouraging a concept of any sort of blind fanaticism, right? It's about following the understanding the spirit of what he's saying. Right? If a lay person, they'll say, "Oh, if you don't follow this exactly, then or you know, then you're going against the Gita and stuff like that." But it's not. It's not. That's not how it's intended to be, right?
No, in fact, see, when you use I, me, mine, you can refer to a variety of things. Like if I ask you after this session, will you join me for lunch? Okay. Me means the body. I'm going to have lunch at a particular place. I'm asking you whether you'll join me. Let's say someone, your friend, is in New York and is going through a bad time. You come to know about it. You call him and say, hey, brother, I'm with you. I mean, you're 10,000 miles away. How can you say I'm with you? You mean mind is with you, right? And then in a class, in university, the professor sees the students are, distracted. And he says, are you with me? The student can't say, of course we're with you. We have no choice. What he means is your intellect following what I'm saying? Right? So you can be, when we say I, me, we refer to either body, mind, or intellect. When a self-realized person says me or my, he doesn't relate to body, mind, intellect. There is only Atman, spirit. So when Krishna says my, he means Atman. So the law laid down by the spirit, if you don't follow it, you will get destroyed. That's what he means. And I think throughout the Bhagavad Gita, he keeps saying this. In fact, every prophet has said that.
Yep.
In every religion. It is the followers who have completely misunderstood.
Right.
So this misunderstanding of a pronoun has caused bloodshed throughout the world.
Yep.
And especially in the Gita, if we don't understand it like this, we're finished. But bhakta, a person who's a devotee, it helps a devotee to say, okay, this is Krishna's teaching, my Lord's teaching, and I will follow it.
In verse 33, Lord Krishna says, even a knowledgeable person acts according to his or her own nature. Beings follow their nature. What can suppression achieve?
This is a fabulous verse. Because now after he's given the prescription for right action and all that, and we are all enthusiastic and we try and follow it, we come across roadblocks. So he's explaining why these roadblocks are there and why we need to be patient with ourselves. Because nature functions, means vasanas are previously acquired traits. They will function, they are strong, they have a force. So they will continue for a while until this new knowledge and this new conviction becomes the overriding force within us. Until then, you have to be patient. And we need to understand that overcoming a simple thing, like not being punctual, is so difficult to overcome. Because you haven't been brought up like that. You've been brought up not respecting punctuality. Let's say, generally Indians are like that. So, like this, or let's say a person is irritable, that is even more difficult to overcome. So, you understand that yes, I have my limitations and they will operate. But all I have to do is put in that consistent effort and it'll happen. It's like losing weight. You embark on a program of diet, exercise, whatever. And you have to forget about the weight because every day if you weigh yourself, it's not going to change.
Exactly.
In any development, it doesn't change day to day. It is only consistency that leads you to that. So he's just stating a fact.
Yeah, and I think this verse is also so important in the context of relationships, right? Because when we understand that we also are just a bundle of desires or vasanas, and other people also will act in a way that they have in line with their past choices. So, getting irritated or getting, going head over heels at some level, or getting carried away one way or another, positively or negatively, it's important to understand people for what they are, yourself for what you are also, right?
Yes.
And the relationship between that.
So this phrase, guna guneshu vartante, is fantastic. It just gets across the thing. Gunas will function.
Yeah.
Iti matva na sajjate. Knowing this, the wise are not affected.
Yeah. It's amazing. Because then you're not affected by expectations. You don't have foolish expectations from other people, and nor do you have them from yourself, right? Because a lot of stress that we experience in relationships is because we are expecting something of ourselves where we have not put in the effort, and B is you're expecting other people to behave in line with what your thoughts are, right? It's absurd because they will it's like expecting a tiger to behave like a house cat. It's impossible.
Yes. That is so poignant, is a very powerful thought that helps us attain peace
Yeah.
within ourselves and in our interactions with others.
So, moving on to verse 34, Lord Krishna says, attraction and repulsion towards sense objects rest in the sense organs. Nobody should be controlled by these two, one's enemies.
See, we don't understand that the whole thing starts with our own likes and dislikes. You know? So we are full of likes and dislikes. The world is full of pairs of opposites. Both are changing. Your likes and dislikes change, the world also changes. Now, in this scenario, to find a perfect fit itself is difficult.
Yeah.
Then he says, likes and dislikes are your greatest enemy. Now, in this portion, these few verses, he uses 4 words in Sanskrit to mean enemy, to describe desire, likes and dislikes. So, in this verse, he uses paripanthina, then panthina, vairin, nitya vairin, all means enemy. Different words. And it's very strong. It's a very strong idea he's putting across. That desire is your greatest enemy. Watch out for it. We don't seem to get it. There are people who have read the Gita, who can recite the Gita, who can give lectures on the Gita, but have no control over their desires. So this is a very important portion. And then this is the first verse in that. So nobody should be controlled by them. What he means is, likes and dislikes will be there. We are born with them. And during our lifetime, we pick up, new experiences.
Yeah.
We pick up likes and dislikes. Like we've just come from Bangalore, desire for benne dosa. I'm just giving an example. So there's nothing wrong with that. But likes and dislikes by themselves should not drive you to activity. Then what must you do? Scan the likes and dislikes with the intellect. It's so simple. If the intellect approves of it, you go ahead and do it. If the intellect says no, then you should be alert. If you function like this, then what happens is existing likes and dislikes get exhausted because you allow freedom and you don't acquire more. You enjoy life. Experience ends with experience. Like you go to Bangalore, we eat the benne dosa, you enjoy it. The mind doesn't linger in the enjoyment. So when you come back, you're still free. You're free from desire. You haven't added more desires.
Yeah.
But this is not how we function. We function with the mind. So wherever you go, you pick up desires.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of important, learnings to take back and put into practice in our lives. As we come towards the end of today's episode, are there some key takeaways that we should remember for
Yes,
the coming week?
we looked at some very important points. One is happiness. Where does happiness lie? And why is it that in spite of achieving so much or acquiring so much, we still feel that gnawing sense of emptiness?
Yeah.
Then we moved on to the verses. We looked at the formula for perfect action. And if you follow this 6-point plan to perfect action, you are made in any field of endeavor. Then he continues, the next verse, he says, those who follow it with Shraddha.
Yeah.
And we discussed what Shraddha was.
Yeah.
My teachings means the law. It's not Krishna's teachings. We saw that. And without malice, without this negative thinking, you get freed from action because the lower desires fall and higher, you get established in the higher. Those who don't follow get destroyed. So he's emphasizing on the importance of this verse, perfect action. And then the last verse we saw, likes and dislikes are your greatest enemy. Desire is your greatest enemy. And we need to pause, think, reflect about this statement because we are too used to riding on desire and likes and dislikes. So we don't know what life is without it. So all we have to do is pass it through the intellect and then you're fine. You go ahead, enjoy the whole world.
With that, shall we close with the invocation?
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for today's episode, this week's episode. We hope you've taken away some wisdom from it, and we hope that you can put some of these lessons into action in your lives, experiment with them, and hopefully benefit from them. As always, if you have any questions, please do post them in the comments, and do share and subscribe the episode with family and friends who may enjoy it. And have a great week ahead. Thank you.